This morning's New York Times reported that the president's national security advisors are saying that the chance of reaching a nuclear deal with Iran is between 40 and 50%. The Saudis, however, are worried about this deal. The Russians are skeptical about this deal, and perhaps the biggest obstacle to the deal is Israel, and therefore a reliable cadre of Republicans and even some Democrats. Mark, this is a big cornerstone issue for President Obama and his foreign policy legacy. But is there any way in which this can be a political winner for him under the current circumstances, the way we hear this deal described today?
I don't understand the trajectory, because Israel is going to be opposed to this deal almost certainly, if there is one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there'll be one. I think the public odds are actually too high. But if somehow if he fails, once again he's failed to succeed in his plan to negotiate with Iran. And if he signs a deal or gets a deal, Israel will be opposed. It'll be widely denounced in the United States by political leaders who will follow what Israel does. I think that's a disaster. He can't go forward with the deal that Israel's against.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Well, I don't know if that's quite right. It depends on what's in the deal in the end. And I think the biggest problem for him now is that in his weakened state after the midterms, and what Iran sees as a weakened state after the midterms, they need for him to back down from the toughest kinds of...
Unfortunately, even if the deal's good on the merits, if the Israelis are opposed to it, I think a lot of American public opinion and congressional opinion will be against it, regardless of how good a deal it seems to be.
Well, there's no doubt a lot of them would be, but I think at least you could argue on the merits for a good bill. What you can't argue for is for a bill that even people like Dick Durbin think is too soft, and that's the kind of deal that Iran thinks the only kind of deal they're going to sign.
In the scheme of things right now, the president's got a lot on his plate. This is a big thing, but the military option isn't there. And there's tons of skepticism about it, as you said, and with other countries, the Saudis and some other countries in the region. But I just go back to Israel. You cannot sign a deal with a country that they say is a mortal threat to them if they say the deal doesn't keep them safe.
If there was a deal and John Kerry was for it and President Obama's court, would Hillary Clinton have to be for it, or would she be against it?
I think the Clintons might have to come out against this deal for 2016. That's another place where if Netanyahu is against it, which, again, I don't see how they're going to get a deal he's for, because the Iranians are not just caving. It's just hard for me to see a lot of political support for it.
I can't imagine the former Secretary of State abandoning the current Secretary of State.